Welcome to the NFL Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com in partnership with DraftKings Pick6. Nate and I coming to you back here on week 10 in the NFL, looking at some player props and using DraftKings Pick6 to go more or less on some of these numbers that we're looking at here. We've got 6 of them for you. We're going to get into this. We've got a pretty good deal for potential new DraftKings Pick6 customers as well. So we'll get to that in just a minute. But let's go ahead and kick things off with Quinshon Judkins here for the Browns, Nate.
Yeah, I was thinking about whether to go yards or attempts on Quinshon. Then I checked the weather forecast. This is the only game with definite rain in the forecast. And so I think that is going to tip the Browns' hand as far as just give this man the ball over and over. Jets are 26th in rush defense by EPA. They just traded away their best defensive lineman, of course, Quinnen Williams, also the best cornerback, and in Sauce Gardner. And on the other side, the Browns are number one rush defense. So we should have the ball in the Browns' hands for most of it. They should want to feed Judkins 20-plus rush attempts. If you look at their 4 even neutral scripts, I mean, I won't even call them favorable matchups because they were 3 NFC North teams, the Lions, Packers, and Vikings. Oh my, that can really like light up the scoreboard. So definitely not like playing from ahead like they should be here, the Browns. In those games, Judkins had 22 carries for 92 yards per game. And now, I mean, he's healthy, rested off the bye. You probably have a little bit of a deflated number because he had a tough time against the Patriots and the Steelers on the road. But like I said, this Jets defense has nothing. They shouldn't have much fight to them. I'm sorry, they just allowed 8 yards per carry to the Bengals running backs. I'm sorry, they allowed 20 rush attempts to Devon Achane, who is mostly a receiving back, and 17 to Rico, if not for the whole debate in Carolina that week about whether Chuba or him should get the carries. But it was 31 total carries for the Panthers backs, and Quinshon just gets all the carries for Cleveland.
Yeah. It was tough, a little bit tougher for him recently than it will be in this matchup for sure. So, I think the attempts are there for sure. Maybe you don't know with the wonkiness of the game with rain, that what's going to happen overall with yards and whatnot. But yeah, I think the attempts and the fact that they'll be in the 20s, that seems pretty highly likely. So let's go to Dart, man. We got 209.5 pass yards for him. We're going more on that, and we could probably throw in some of the rush there as well, like pass and rush if you like for him in this one too. But the key is that he will be back there throwing a good amount. There's going to be a good amount of plays in this game. New York is 8th in pace of play. He's throwing the deep ball a ton. We just need someone to catch one of them, like one. Start with one. We'll go from there. Anything over 25 yards, if a Giants receiver could please keep his hands on it, that'd be great. And then I do think Wandale will start running a few more routes a little bit deeper, but more about Dart. Like, he's not the problem in any way. So if you're looking at the game script alone, this is just probably too low for a guy that's going to need to pass against Ben Johnson and a team that's probably going to score on them a good amount on the other side with the Bears. And the Bears run D has come up a bunch from where it was earlier in the season. 4 really good performances in a row now where they're allowing 89 rushing yards per game in that time frame, 4 yards per carry, good enough for top half of the league there. And I do think it's going to cause some passes that have to be there. There's also the pressure being put on the other team by a Bears offense that's scored a bit more. So yeah, I think we're going to see Dart air it out enough times that like the odds are in our favor that guys are going to catch enough balls to get us there over on the pass. And I do think a sheer volume with the amount of dropbacks they'll have, that the rush is probably not a bad more than pick as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears, their run defense has improved in part because they're just committing so many resources to it. And on the back end, they were sitting 3 cornerbacks due to injury last week. They've been vulnerable on the back end. If you're going to both, sell out against the run and you're going to blitz this guy, Jackson Dart, who's just fantastic against the blitz, apparently already as a rookie, like, you're going to get burned down the field. Yeah. Like you say, you just need the Giants to hold on to the ball when he puts it like directly in their hands. So Sunday night game here, and Aranda Gadsden, let's keep buying the rise of this young man. 54.5 yards, really tough to choose between this and the 5 receptions. But I mean, he probably gets both, more than both here. I mean, he's just been so explosive with his pass plays as Justin Herbert pushes the ball downfield. He actually leads all tight ends in explosive rating. He's second in yards per target. He's averaging 14 yards per reception. So, I mean, if you do the math, he could have 4 catches at that average and still have more than this in yardage. But We did see the Steelers just hold Jalen Warren to 5 catches for 26 is just a thing to think about. And the Chargers did lose Joe Alt, which is going to mean that they're going to be passing the ball quickly here, potentially quickly underneath. I still think Gadsden has run after catch ability. I don't think the Steelers have good personnel in the middle of the field. They've been getting torched on these slant and dig routes all year. Deshaun Elliott's out for the year, their safety. Several other safeties or DBs are questionable. They have Jalen Ramsey playing out of position at safety, and he's good, but I don't know where you still have these 3 receivers for the Chargers, and that's really the kind of the crux of the argument here is like you don't know which of those 3 receivers is going to go off, but Gadsden gets all the routes for the Chargers tight ends right now. Those other 2 tight ends are blocking if they're playing at all, and Gadsden is just your classic move tight end. So he's not going to be asked to stick in there and block while Joe Alt's out, but I think Herbert is going to have to get the ball out quickly to him.
Yeah, I think they'll be decent. Yeah, it's going to be tougher with a healthier Steelers D, but the overall, like down the field, at least up front specifically, right? But yeah, in the backfield defensively for the Steelers, I think he'll be able to take care. This dude's awesome, man. There's not a really good matchup for him, and then the Steelers, this is where they're vulnerable. So I think all of that makes a ton of sense. Let's take a quick pause so we can at least let everybody here know about the awesome deal we have going on right now with DraftKings Pick6. Our partners at DraftKings Pick6 have a deal you don't want to miss. So for new DraftKings customers, this one's going to be for you. When you play $5 or more on your first paid Pick6 entry, you'll get $50 in Pick6 credits. That's right. Play $5, get 50 in Pick6 credits to lock in your picks and take your shot at big wins. Just use our link to sign up and start playing. If you've been thinking about trying Pick6, now's the time to get in. Just use the link in the bio to sign up, and all new DraftKings customers can pay $5 and get $50 in Pick6 credits. Let's build some of those lineups. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Agent eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awards awarded as non-withdrawable Pick6 credits that expire in 14 days. Ends December 2nd. 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Terms at pick6.com, .draftkings.com/promos. Getting back to it here with Jalen Warren on the receiving yards. 17.5, and we probably get a bit of a value here. I mean, we've seen this as high as like 22 to 24.5 yards this season. And after a game where he didn't do much last week in the past game, this is going to be one where I think we see that come to life a lot more. Last week against the Colts defense, against the pass down the field, bad enough that you could kind of look for guys like Calvin Austin, who was back instead of Jalen Warren last week. Then you had Danny Dimes giving them the ball multiples of times. 47-yard line. That was the average starting field position for the Steelers last week. And as I mentioned to you earlier, Danny Dimes I traded for him in fantasy, so he had to stick it to the Giants fan. That's what that was about for him. But let's get a different game flow this week with Herbert going up against that Pitt defense, a little bit different, 278 passing yards per game for the Steelers defense. That's the most. It's been bad that way, and they'll be a bit better up front, but still they're banged up in the secondary. They're going to give up some points, right? And so the Steelers offense is going to stay moving the ball down the field as well. We have to imagine the Chargers allow about 4 receptions and 32 yards per game to running backs. They do try to get into the blitz pretty consistently there, dropping back into zone coverage, which oftentimes you might think might keep the eyes on the running back, but really in this case, the way that they're allowing so much to running backs, they're really trying to limit big plays, right? They keep everything in front of them, and that does open up that space underneath for a guy like Jalen Warren. So I think this is going to be a moment in time where Rodgers is going to get rid of the ball pretty quickly again, and Jalen Warren's going to be a beneficiary of that.
Yeah, running back receptions are kind of down across the league, but not for Aaron Rodgers guys the last couple of years because he's just like do anything to avoid getting hit. That Chargers pass rush is improving, and they forced the second lowest adjusted yards per attempt by getting after the quarterback and like you said, dropping back to stop the big play, try to force them underneath targets, and that's where Warren is going to be productive.
And I just want to defend Aaron Rodgers for one sec because I never do, and we trash him for like not wanting to get hit and all that. But also, like we also consistently talk about on this show how you should throw the ball to your running backs because it's so easy and it's 6 yards and just take that. And Aaron Rodgers, to his credit, is still a guy old school in that sense. He takes the 6 yards, what you give him, right?
Yeah, no, it's a veteran play. And last week went about as well as you could possibly script for Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, like, yeah, that's what they would love to see is like several turnovers, give him a short field. All he has to do is hand it off in the red zone to Warren a couple times.
Yeah.
And, you know, we get out of here with a win. And like you said, yeah, it's just not going to be that kind of script
Right.
every time out when you got, especially when you got Herbert on the other side against a vulnerable D. But let's get into talking about your Giants
My
here and
my
their
boy though.
inability to stop the run. And that means Kyle Monangai, who, you know, was 30 yards higher than this last week because DeAndre Swift was not playing. And obviously he had way more than 70 yards, but all we're talking about here is him approaching that production with DeAndre Swift playing. We don't know if Swift is healthy totally. It's possible he's starting to panic by seeing how well this rookie played in his absence and wants to just get back out there. I mean, Ben Johnson said last week that Swift would like to play and he kind of protected him from himself. In any case, like these guys were about 50% on the snaps before Monangai got the full chance he got. And that's probably going to continue. Like, I think Ben Johnson sees this as a Monty and Gibbs situation where he has his big back and his quicker back. Except, you know, if Gibbs was a few more years long in the tooth and not quite as talented overall and had an injury that he was coming back from potentially too soon, like I said. So it's a little more of an edge than if this was just Montgomery. But in any case, yeah, the Giants have the worst rush defense in the league by EPA. They just let not only Saquon go for 150, they let backup Tank Bigsby go for 109. They let Brian Robinson, who I don't think I have noticed in the box score all year for the 49ers, go 5 for 53 as a backup, pure backup. Christian McCaffrey leads the league in touches. And yeah, a few weeks back, even Kendre Miller as like the thumper next to Kamara got to 41. So my point is, like, even if you consider Monangai a backup and you don't agree with this prediction that he's going to be 50-50, he still has a very good chance to top this number.
Yeah, there's a lot of outs here from a guy. So it's one of those things where I'm like, he should have probably been at least splitting time with Swift anyway. Some people make the argument as a better runner. I mean, certainly has a better vision than Swift. So yeah, I love this dude in general, and it's a great spot as well. In addition to all the things, so that's what gives you all these outs for him. And you know, to be fair, the Giants they're just beat up, man. They just don't have it anymore. So that's where we're at in the season for them. But let me look at Zay Flowers, another guy. Since everyone wants to hear about my fantasy team, that got picked up. It is mostly because, and it's relevant because, like, with Lamar back, then it's Zay Flowers, right? Zay Flowers, Isaiah Likely. We talked about that last week as well. I like him more on the receptions. It's low in this one, 4.5. Don't mind the yards either for Zay, around like 60, mid 60s in most spots that you're going to find it. So not only do you have Lamar back for Zay, some easy matchups moving forward as well, which I'm going to call this one an easy matchup, at least based on how things are set up for Zay to be successful against Minnesota. But Lamar being limited too by the hamstring, getting later in the season, you want to make sure he's around. If you do make a run at the playoffs, then yeah, I think he's going to be passing from the pocket a bit more and just waiting on Zay Flower to run his route, find him in stride, and be pretty good about that. The yardage is a bit less reliable for sure. It has been, and it looks bad. But again, they're going to be playing some easier opponents, and you're talking about Lamar back. And I think he could be even talking about some explosives, right? Like the last game they played Thursday night, we talked about Zay a little bit. We talked about Lamar, and look for Zay, like he ended up with a really nice game after one half where he wasn't used quite as much. Then in the second half, he sort of helped them, do what they needed to do to sort of just ice that game and make sure they walked away easily, which they did. So now you get him pretty much mostly in the slot, I would say. I mean, he definitely gets moved around a good amount. But when he is in that slot and he's facing nickel corner, Josh Metellus there, talking about him probably struggling versus quick guys. We've seen guys like Lad McConkey, Amon-Ra come in and really have their way with him when they sort of come across him in that zone. And Zay's going to get back up here big time in target share. He's 8th in target share. The yak is going to be what's there for him. The routes are designed in a way to like keep him moving so he can keep going with the quickness and speed after he picks up a reception. But I think we're looking at a solid like 6, right? 6 and at least 60 in this one. And if we do catch one of those big plays, then the like 6 for 80 seems like a pretty good number for him.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, you see it's the 0.7 multiplier here. If you just take the 5 receptions, I think at some point we will get a number for him at 5.5 at Pick6. You see it's not up yet, anything, but yeah, so it's either 65.5 yards for the full shebang, or you get the 0.7 multiplier. And I mean, it's not a bad strategy to get some of these likelier outcomes like the 0.7 times. You can take Judkins for 1 touchdown at the 0.8 times multiplier and just kind of build a little bit more safety into your lineup. So if you're going to try to get all 5 or 6 of these right, you got to sometimes take something that's closer to a sure thing. And Flowers was even getting 5 receptions with freaking Cooper Rush. So I mean, yeah, now you put in the man leading the league in passer rating, Lamar, who's going to maybe be in the pocket a little bit more. So yeah, I think Flowers has a very good floor here.
Yeah, it's a good call here. So that is all the time we have for you, though, in this one. Definitely make sure to subscribe to that channel. Coming back each week this season for you guys with the NFL DraftKings Pick6 looks. So until we see you next.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick6 credits that expire in 14 days. Ends December 2nd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.